So in the summer of 2017, I I really thought I knew what it meant to be a white person. I had it all figured out. I, for lack of a better word, I was so woke. I knew what I was doing. I knew my power and privilege. I had this great understanding. And um, I was 7 months pregnant with my daughter at that point, and I got this great opportunity to facilitate the installation of a mural in Parkway Housing neighborhood in York. I had this great opportunity, and I had seen other people install murals. I had witnessed other mural projects, and um, with people that they didn't go and like talk to the communities or get feedback or input about what the mural should be. And I really hated that. And I was like, I'm going to do this right. So I had this opportunity and I was going to do it right. I was going to talk to community leaders, and I was going to um, circulate a survey in English and Spanish to the neighborhood so I could get feedback from the community. I was going to hire a Latino artist because it was a very Spanish speaking neighborhood, so that he could talk in Spanish to the neighbors while he was creating the mural, the whole thing. I was going to nail it, right? And what ended up actually happening was I um, I hired a Uruguayan artist to paint a portrait of a Guatemalan woman in a neighborhood that was predominantly Puerto Rican and Black. And if you don't immediately know 100 things wrong with that sentence, then you're probably right where I was in the summer of 2017. But this story isn't actually about my ignorance of Latino culture. In fact, it's about something specific that happened during the week of that installation that I haven't really talked about much because it was such a put my foot in the mouth kind of come to Jesus moment. And I haven't really had to reconcile it with it too much until now. So we had hired this great artist. He was working on the mural. It was about a week-long installation. And while he was working on the mural, he would overnight leave his paint cans up on the scaffolding that we had rented because it was a very large, full-size mural. And I get a call from him in the middle of the week after he'd been working on it about how some kids had grabbed one of the paint cans and thrown an entire gallon of paint all over the side of a van and the ground that was parked behind, right behind where the mural was. And the artist Pablo was standing with the owner of the van who wanted to talk to me. And by talk, I mean scream at and threaten, which is only about the second time in my life that had ever really happened at that point. And so I get on the phone with this guy because what else am I going to do? I'm responsible for the whole thing, the whole project. And he starts telling me about OSHA standards, which I know absolutely nothing about, and like proper storage and all of these things. And he's a painter by trade. He's a house painter. So he knows way more about this stuff than I ever would have. I have, no idea what to do. I try to just listen and be calm and all of that. And finally, I get back on the phone with Pablo and we're saying, okay, what do we do? And my immediately gut reaction is like, oh, well, we call the police. And Pablo says, no, don't call the police. And I was like, Pablo, this is like vandalism and destruction of property. Like, absolutely, we have to call the police. And he was just like, no. Please don't call the police, Rita. Please don't call the police. And I was shocked by that because it never would have occurred to me to not just call the police. So we didn't. I trusted my new friend, the artist Pablo. And I said, well, what do we do? And he says, well, let's just go and help the guy clean up and see what happens. I was like, okay, we'll try it. Call up my husband. We go down there. This guy is irate. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't feel like unsafe in any way, you know, because there were plenty of people around, but it was definitely kind of shocking. And so turns out he doesn't even own the van. It's his boss's van that he just uses for work. He only rents the property that he lives in. He's worried about the ground being thrown up with paint because he's afraid his landlord is going to give him shit about the ground being messed up. So have I mentioned I'm 7 months pregnant at this point? So we are, my husband and I and Pablo get to work cleaning up the paint, scraping it off the van. We spend probably several hours, paint thinner. He's got all the tools, the guy, right? Because he's a painter. And over the course of this happening, he really starts to open up. He starts to really calm down. At first, it's just the three of us working, and then he starts helping scrape the paint. He starts talking to us, you know, fixing the yard, all of that. We get totally done. By the end of it, he is thanking us for showing up. He's shaking our hands. And, you know, I'm telling this story because when I think about that situation now, at the time I thought I knew what to do, and I was very strong-headed and like sure of myself. And now looking back, I can't be more grateful that I was able to kind of take my foot out of my mouth and listen and create community rather than, you know, call the police. And looking back, it's like, I can see how the outcome could have potentially gone much, much differently from this point. And that's one of the largest lessons that I have ever learned in my job so far. Thank you.